В Бакинском конгресс-центре проходит 12-е заседание министров в рамках Консультативного совета по Южному газовому коридору и 4-е заседание министров в рамках Консультативного совета по зеленой энергетике. Президент Азербайджанской республики выступил на мероприятии.
Your Excellency, President of the Republic of Azerbaijan, Mr. Hamaliyev, distinguished EU Commissioner for Energy and Housing, Mr. Dan Jorgensen, dear ministers, ladies and gentlemen, it is my great honor to welcome you to the 12th ministerial meeting of the Southern Gas Corridor Advisory Council and the 4th ministerial meeting of the Green Energy Advisory Council. This gathering marks another significant milestone in our successful efforts to promote the balanced development of natural gas and renewable energy, as well as to further diversify regional energy connectivity. I would like to extend my deepest gratitude to His Excellency President of Azerbaijan, Mr. Ilham Aliyev, for his steadfast leadership and unwavering support in driving this success. It is now my distinct privilege to invite President Ilham Aliyev to deliver the keynote address.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I'd like to welcome all our guests. Special welcome to Mr. Commissioner. He just arrived and probably he needs to be in bed now, but instead he is with us. We highly appreciate that he participate at this important event, though we know that he had a very busy meetings back in Brussels. So really your presence once again demonstrates a strong partnership between European institutions and Azerbaijan in the area of energy and not only. As always, we at the annual Advisory Council review what has been done since the last meeting and also plan our joint future steps in order to strengthen partnership cooperation in the field of energy security and sustainable energy supply. It's already more than a decade that this initiative demonstrates sustainability, and now we understand maybe more than when we launched this initiative 12 years ago how important it is to gather together and to address important issues of energy security. Especially if we look back to these 12 years, we see different scenarios, different complications, challenges, problems. But despite all those difficulties and very hard times in our region, energy security provided by Azerbaijan and its partners to a number of countries really became something which we can feel on a daily basis. If you look to what has been done since we met last time in Baku last year, we see again progress. Every time we talk about progress. Last time I was addressing the audience saying that we supply gas to 12 countries. Now the number of countries where Azerbaijani gas reached its consumers reached 16. And by this number, Azerbaijan is number one in the world with respect to the number of countries it supplies with pipeline gas. Last time I was touching upon our plans to expand the geography of gas supplies, so as you see, it has been done. Also important, I think, event was that our gas supplies already reached other destinations beyond Europe. For the first time, we started to supply gas to Syria in order to help Syrian people to cut the dramatic electric energy deficit. So by supplying 1.5 billion cubic meters of Azerbaijani gas to Syria, we helped the population to be more protected and have more opportunities to do business, to make enterprises functional. And because everybody knows very well that without electricity, you cannot achieve any development. So this was important for Syria, for region, for Azerbaijan, because diversification of gas supplies for us, as for every country, is very important. We understand the challenges which countries which receive gas face with respect to diversification, but also for producers, diversification is an important factor. And again, we see positive dynamics in cooperation between producer, Azerbaijan, transitors, and consumers. And this unity and shared interests and shared benefits, I think, is the main reason for our successful journey for more than a decade. With respect to our plans, yes, we want to increase our presence on the European energy market. We started already now to supply 2 more countries in Europe, Germany and Austria. Thus, today, 10 members of EU receive gas from Azerbaijan. And for the coming years, with respect to the new production of gas from Azerbaijani fields, we may increase the output. But for that, definitely, and we spoke about that last time, we need to think about expansion of existing gas transportation infrastructure, because today, Southern Gas Corridor is already packed, and we are looking for other extensions and interconnections in order to be able to supply as much as market needs, and probably will need even more, taking into account the current situation in the world. And in order to be able to export as much as we can. This year, we expect beginning of production from ACG deep gas field. We expected the production to be started last year, but it didn't happen. But definitely this year, the production will start. In 2-3 years, we expect the beginning of the full phase development of Absheron field, which will increase production of gas from Absheron 3 times. And also, we expect the beginning of gas production from the second phase of Umit field. With respect to our major source of natural gas, Shah Deniz, in 2028, we expect beginning of production from a new phase of Shah Deniz. And all that gas production profiles will allow us at the maximum level of production to reach from 10 to 15 billion cubic meters of additional gas. And as I said earlier, for that we will need new markets, expansion of existing pipeline system, and of course we need to look at how to diversify our gas distribution network. Part of the discussions already for several years at the Advisory Council is a green agenda. And here also we can report about good results. This January we inaugurated so far the biggest wind power station in the region, 240 megawatt was inaugurated, financed and constructed by Aqua Power. And this is additional source of green energy to what we already had in 2023. Masdar built 230 solar power stations. And several projects are already in the phase of implementation. And we expect the inauguration of new renewable power stations in the coming years. And here we have a good combination between foreign investors and local companies. Local companies, definitely SOCAR, but not only, and also private companies started to invest in renewables because we know that there is a great potential and there is a market demand. There are already transmission lines, but there'll be more transmission lines. We need to work on that. We need to work jointly on energy cables, stretching from Azerbaijan to Europe on the Black Sea, on energy cable from Central Asia to Azerbaijan. Both agreements have been signed, and the feasibility studies almost completed in one project and will be completed in another. And if you look forward, when all these projects are materialized, we'll see that there'll be a very sustainable and I would say existential for many countries energy corridor. Our renewable plans are based on the contracts which have already been signed. I would like to underline they are contracts, not MOUs, so it's contractual obligations. And by 2032, we expect from 6 to 8 gigawatt of electric power from renewable sources. So this, of course, is a big asset. So we need to export it, and we need to use this electricity for domestic purposes to substitute the natural gas, which we are using so far to produce electricity, and to provide conditions for growing economy, growing industry, including our plans with respect to communication sector, AI, data centers. All that are already projects which are in the pipeline, especially after signing last month here in Baku between Vice President of the United States and myself, the Charter on Strategic Partnership between the United States and Azerbaijan, which covers many areas, including AI, energy, connectivity, and many others. The realization of our plans, having the biggest power, United States, as our strategic partner, seem to be absolutely realistic. We've been investing, continuing to invest in hydro power stations. These projects are being implemented in the liberated from Armenian occupation territories. So far, 307 megawatt of hydro power stations already joined our system, and our plans are to almost double it, maybe in 2-3 years. And that will give us additional potential, and that will give us cheap energy. So hydro, solar, wind, potentially thermal. We are now investigating this issue. Gas, and all the combination, and that's how it should be. And coming back to what we discussed, even at COP29, when we were hosting this climatic conference, and even then I said, though I realized that it's not in line with the trend at that time, that you cannot ignore fossil fuels. If you ignore fossil fuels, that means that you live in your dreams. We all want to have safe and clean planet. We all don't want to see the complications of the climate change. And by the way, here one can see it, how Caspian Sea is shrinking year after year. But at the same time, we need to treat this issue from point of view of pragmatism and realism, and not from the point of view of ideology. So combination of fossil fuels, renewables, and especially appreciation of the efforts of the countries like Azerbaijan, which has reserves which can be enough for country and its neighbors for 100 years of fossil fuels, but nevertheless investing billions in renewables, I think this is how it should be. And I'm sure all these issues will be discussed at today's event, and we will come up with good solutions. Also, I'd like to underline that Azerbaijan also plays an important role as a reliable transitor of energy resources. We provide important transit of oil for Kazakhstan and for Turkmenistan, and year after year, the volume of the oil transported through our system is growing, and we are capable and we have infrastructure to receive more oil from the eastern shores of the Caspian. With respect to the issues related to our, efforts on the European energy market, I think important will be for audience to know that we recently acquired, purchased one of the biggest power stations in Turkey, 870 megawatts. And last month, the contract was signed with Serbia to build 500 megawatt of power station in Serbia. So our contribution to energy security is not limited only by our boundaries and by Southern Gas Corridor. And also among important achievements for us and important factors is acquisition of 2 refineries in Italy with total capacity of 10 million tons. And if we add to what we already have on Turkish Aegean coast, 12 million ton refinery. So in total, we will have 22 million tons of refinery capacity in the Mediterranean and Aegean, which in itself will definitely help to provide sustainable supply of oil products, and also thousands of petrol stations are part of the deal. So don't want to take much of your time. I know that you will be very busy, but I just wanted to underline the main milestones which are important to understand our plans, what has been done, and what we're planning to do. And I'm sure that, as always, the meeting will be productive, constructive, and result-oriented. Thank you very much.
Your Excellency, Mr. President, we are extremely grateful for your invaluable remarks. The Advisory Council, established with a visionary initiative, has evolved into a vital platform, as you mentioned already in your speech, and it underscores the importance of diversification, predictable investments, and partnership in ensuring energy security and connectivity. We deeply appreciate your continued support and extend our heartfelt thanks. With your permission, I now turn to the EU Commissioner for Energy and Housing, Mr. Dan Jorgensen. Azerbaijan's key energy projects are Europe-focused, shaping the ever-evolving Azerbaijan-EU strategic energy partnership. Mr. Jorgensen, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Minister. President, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, I am extremely delighted to be here today, and I want to express my heartfelt appreciation for the warm welcome extended here in Baku, and I thank all of you for accepting our invitation today. They say that good things come in threes. So, today is the third day of the third month, so it seems appropriate that I share with you 3 key points for our discussion. First of all, energy security. In 2020, gas started flowing from Azerbaijan to Europe through the southern gas corridor. In 2022, the strategic importance of the corridor became abundantly clear. When Russia began its war of aggression and its weaponization of energy, the European Union took the decision to diversify our energy supplies. To replace Russian energy, we turned to our most trusted and reliable partners, and Azerbaijan was chief amongst these. Since then, we have significantly increased natural gas deliveries through the southern gas corridor. And since late 2020, the Trans-Adriatic pipeline has already delivered more than 50 billion cubic meters of Caspian gas to Europe. With the help of Caspian gas, the EU's dependency on Russian gas fell from 45% of overall imports in 2022 to 12% in 2025. And these numbers will continue to fall. In less than 2 years, the remaining 35 billion cubic meters of Russian gas that we are still importing every year will be out of our markets. The 10 billion euros per year that the EU spends on this gas bill will no longer finance Russia nor its aggression against Ukraine. We continue to reduce our dependencies on Russian gas, and the importance of our partnership with Azerbaijan will increase, bringing benefits for Europe's energy security and Azerbaijan's economy. Since the Trans-Adriatic pipeline started commercial deliveries, Azerbaijan has earned around 24 billion euros in natural gas export revenues from EU buyers through 2024. My visit today is an opportunity to make it very clear. Azerbaijan's gas supplies will remain an important backbone of the EU's energy security. And the EU will remain a reliable purchaser of Azerbaijani gas for the foreseeable future, underpinning structural transformation in Azerbaijani economy. Let me turn to my second point. The future of energy security lies in the clean transition and electrification. In the EU, we are deploying renewable energy capacity at record levels. In 2025, for example, renewables generated 45% of our electricity, while EU retail electricity prices remain stable compared to the year before. I know that Azerbaijan also foresees electrification as a catalyst to reduce domestic fossil fuel consumption, therefore opening additional opportunities for gas export revenues. Moreover, I know that there is enormous potential for electrification throughout the whole region, especially when it comes to heating in households and industries. With a view to COP31 in Turkey, let us therefore put the electrification higher on the agenda and identify concrete areas for closer collaboration. Here, let me highlight the role of the EU clean tech industry. The EU offers a world-class clean tech ecosystem, from grid technologies and storage to renewables and hydrogen, as well as digital and cybersecurity solutions. To unlock the potential of this offer and to mobilize private capital at scale, we need transparent and competitive procurement schemes, clear market-driven regulation, and long-term predictability. With these conditions at place, EU companies are ready to engage and commit, bringing financing capacity, technological excellence, and high standards in cybersecurity and system reliance. So, let me turn to my final point, regional connectivity. In the Black Sea strategy, the EU committed to a connectivity agenda, aiming to improve transport, energy, and digital connections with the Black Sea region, Turkey, the South Caucasus, and Central Asia. The connectivity agenda does three things. 1, it provides a shared strategic framework. 2, it prioritizes reforms. 3, it links investments with policy. There is a mutual interest in advancing this agenda. Regional electricity connectivity helps to reduce energy system costs, facilitate the integration of renewable energy, and enable two-way electricity flows and trading. This will increase regional power trade and ensure that we make best use of regionally distributed renewable energy resources. Connectivity must also be understood in an integrated way, encompassing both hard infrastructure and soft connectivity, including regulatory convergence, market integration, and improved governance frameworks. The EU stands ready to explore further opportunities to strengthen energy connectivity and the energy transition in the region, including through the mobilization of guarantees and blended finance instruments. The active involvement of the private sector will be essential, and EU companies bring significant added value in expertise, innovation, and standards. The EU will also stand ready to support partner countries in the region to go further in strengthening their energy regulations. The recently launched third phase of the EU for Energy program will further advance this work and provide concrete technical support on bilateral and regional level. It is great to see the plans for cross-border electricity interconnections that have been announced over the last years. Considering the number of initiatives announced, it is important that these projects are implemented based on sound economic and system integration analysis. I look forward to the results of the feasibility studies currently being implemented. Dear friends, to conclude, let me once again thank you, Your Excellency, President Aliyev, for welcoming us here today. And let me thank you for giving us the opportunity to deepen our discussions and reinforce our relationships. In these turbulent times, these relationships are more important than ever. President, last year when we met, we did indeed say these are complex times. Now, unfortunately, they're even more complex. And with these objectives in mind, I thank you for your time and look forward to our discussions. Thank you.
Commissioner Jorgensen, thank you for your insightful speech. With your co-chairmanship, we believe that the strategic energy dialogue between Azerbaijan and the EU will continue to develop and yield fruitful results. This concludes our opening session. Mr. President, thank you very much for being with us today.